Surprise! Did I surprise you? No? Oh, right. The title of this video. Guess that kind of makes this redundant then. I think the majority of us here can remember a time when you could enjoy being caught off guard, to be left in this moment of disbelief over what seemed to be a rather straightforward story until it wasn't. Whether it be a video game or a movie, there was a plot twist you weren't entirely expecting when it came to what you were consuming. Usually, those pivotal scenes are what made those things so beloved or talked about for years to come. It wasn't always the plot, no, sometimes you got to learn about the mysterious character that left you wondering what exactly their deal was, like what they were hiding, why they were exactly the way they were, their motivations, the purpose, that kind of thing. After all, you really can't tell a good story without a good cast of characters. It's always a struggle to not be spoiled, because what is and what isn't considered a spoiler mostly comes down to the final details that we know and do not know already from the trailer that may be shown, which these days the trailer straight up just spoils it. May as well not go see it at that point. Being surprised is the whole point of seeing a story-driven film, and that same logic applies to ongoing television, and even gaming for that matter. With gaming, it isn't just the story or the characters that surround it that make the game what it is. Sometimes you get to discover and unlock content that you would have never expected, like a new game mode or brand new playable characters. I couldn't think of a more perfect example of surprise than a handful of fighting games. The amount of characters in Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was just staggering, and they really scraped the bottom of the barrel to find someone that you wouldn't expect to fight or play as. Super Smash Bros. Also had a nice way of surprising you. Whether it be the characters or the stages it had to offer, unlocking content in general has always felt like an exciting experience for me as a kid. It meant that anything was possible, and it gave you a reason to keep playing for hours on end. Now, with things being a lot more different compared to 20 years ago, social media is bigger than ever. People are able to connect with each other from around the world, which means not only making all sorts of friends of similar interests, but information spreads a lot quicker compared to how it did back then with magazines. So, it comes to no surprise that I tell you, there are plenty of insiders and data miners whose entire existence is leaking information about all games, present or future. Now, this wasn't something new that just popped up overnight. I think there's always been people who at least had a connection or two when it came to gathering intel about upcoming games and the content of them back then. I couldn't give you an exact date for when data mining came into the picture, but Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS comes to mind. Loads of characters got leaked that weren't announced yet, from Roy to Ryu. This was a huge discovery that was found by those who looked through the files of an update. It didn't help that the ESRB screenshot leaked the majority of characters at launch. This is obviously just one particular example of the Smash Bros. Series having leaks during a time when the internet was just starting to take off. Leaks can sometimes be totally false too, like the infamous Grinch leak that was essentially a nothing burger. And leaks like this can lead to excitement and speculation. I get that, but I think we've gone way too comfortable with how frequent and even accurate these leaks can be nowadays. So you've seen throughout the background of my videos that I've been playing a little unknown indie game called Marvel Rivals. It's actually a pretty popular game, at least compared to Overwatch these days. It does everything right, and while it isn't perfect by any means, what I can say is that it's an enjoyable game enough to keep going back to whenever I get the chance. Apart from all the discourse over roles and the usual toxicity that you'd find on any other online game, there's an all-around concerning issue that I think has gone off the rails that I feel is worth discussing. I understand that not everyone has the patience to wait. God, I can't imagine what those people are like at a restaurant. But unfortunately, Marvel Rivals has probably the worst amount of leaks that I've seen next to Multiverses. Like, I don't know if this is being done on purpose to continually drum up hype. I very much doubt it. It's an interesting point to speculate, but I'm not sure these things are being left in the files entirely on purpose. Like with some models having full bodies that can be used for, things. It's still speculation what the intention is behind not encrypting these leftover files. What I can say for sure is there's plenty of accounts floating around on X whose entire gimmick is to share any and every leak possible to come out of Rivals. I should mention that ever since Elon Musk took over, he made sure Blue creators were properly compensated for their content. Now, what does and doesn't count as content depends on the person, I suppose, but it goes without saying, everyone is trying to make their fair share of revenue on that platform. It's mostly enabled content slot farms, if anything, but it has become an option for those who want to give it a fair shake. This also includes people who leak content from the game, which is the basis of how they make their revenue, spoiling content coming to the game. And I get that we all have to find a way to put food on the table to survive, but man, has it gone way out of hand. I wish I could say that it's easy to avoid the leaks, But unfortunately, these Rivals news accounts tend to retweet it, and all that seems to do is enable leaks to continue going on. I guess I could also mute words, block a few accounts maybe, but I really shouldn't have to go through all that effort. I'd rather have actual news and those leaks separate. But you know how it is, any scrap of content is another potential paycheck. Rivals, of course, isn't the only game to have these issues. Whole lineups for games have leaked as well. We've had literal prototypes for games in development leak too. It's become a huge problem for not just the people who work hard on that content, but also those who wait to be surprised. Now, I don't mind the speculation. That's what makes it fun. But when you outright put information out there that so-and-so is coming, or that this character dies, it makes it hard to really enjoy anything or for it to be memorable since, again, you already know what's going to happen. Maybe it's just me who thinks this, but people who spoil things outright like that are pretty joyless, so they dig in the files of information to share with the public to get their 15 minutes of fame. I didn't have much of a problem with knowing a few things here or there at first, but once leaks started becoming more consistent than usual, it sort of just turned me off. What's funny to me is when Sue Storm had footage leaked from a beta test exclusive to members, a Rivals news account felt that was crossing the line completely, but the reality is, we shouldn't really be able to do any of this, period. Looking into files like that is technically not illegal, but you can't just sit there and tell me that that wasn't ever going to happen. You don't just start a fire and expect to not get burned. You don't poke a bear with a stick and expect to not get mauled. So why share leaks and then get upset when someone leaks something huge like gameplay? I know about the contract being put in place to make it legally binding, but that means nothing in the grand scheme of things because you as a news account are still promoting leaks. That's enabling 101. And what makes this interesting, which is held with a grain of salt for now, is that NetEase has potentially added in characters to files that may not actually be coming to Rivals to figure out who's leaking things. Let me tell you, this isn't the first company to crack down on this kind of thing. Nintendo is doing it with Switch 2, Mihio, or however you say it, is doing it with Genshin Impact. Won't be the first time or the last time either. You could potentially be held liable in some form or fashion if you're leaking things like that on a regular basis. If you don't think there's consequences, trust me, there are. And it's never pretty either. We're talking like financial ruin here. This is not a route worth continuing to stray down, but I suppose an example has to be made somewhere. And I'll be here to say it, hey, I told you so. So yeah, leakers are going to be around no matter what. Same with scalpers. Same with anyone who has to ruin it for everyone else. That's just something that we have to put up with inevitably. And that won't be changing anytime soon. The only people who can hold them accountable are those that are in charge. So it'll be interesting to see how the rival situation unfolds. But hopefully, someone realizes that maybe leaking is ruining the surprise for everyone else. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the feedback that I've gotten on my previous video. I was completely stunned. I didn't expect anyone to comment, let alone even view it, but sure enough, it became super big compared to my other videos. So I'm very happy that you guys have subscribed and liked and commented and all that good stuff. It helps me continue making videos and kind of gives me a perspective of where I should take the channel in terms of the direction of it. This video obviously is a little bit shorter. Doesn't mean I won't be coming out with a longer video. That's still going to happen, but it's again going to take a lot longer because it is indeed a longer video. So, like I said, I appreciate you guys. And for those who are just watching, make sure to subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. All right, take care.